Hello and welcome to Tricks of the Astray channel. Today is the 5th of June 2018, and in today's video we're featuring two very popular performers in the entertainment industry. One of them happens to be Pitbull. Let's take a look at who Pitbull is. Pitbull here is said to be, his real name is Armando Christian Perez, born January 15, 1981. As you can see, right, the Vatican code of numbers is at work. 1 plus 5 here is equal to 6, 15. If you're interested in the Vatican code of numbers, get on the channel and look for the video called the Lisa Lopes video, or just look for the playlist that's called Vatican code of numbers. I don't know how Lisa Lopez is pronounced, but I know it's spelled Lopes, and you'll have some information that's going to help you to understand what we're talking about in the Vatican code of numbers. And one thing I would like to say about the Vatican code of numbers is this, because a lot of people get carried away by it and think too much into it. The whole reason for making you guys understand the Vatican code of numbers is to make you see clearly that these numbers appearing is not just merely coincidences. They carry some sort of spiritual symbology according to the Vatican and how they use it when they're labeling their special projects as Pitbull that we're looking at here today. So I don't want people to read too much into it, because now people get all carried away and look into every number that they can find and try to have an understanding of it. It's a waste of your time, and according to the Bible also, it's very, very demonic. Now, for full details of the Vatican code of numbers, we suggest that you get a book. As we've showed you in one of the previous ads for the book, is that it's not just a book, it's a concealed mystery, so that you understand your world perfectly. And we may have to say this: if you do not get the book, a lot of the things you don't have a full understanding what you're looking at, because as much as we try to put all the information that we can in the videos, there's so many things we can't talk about. But when you have the book and you have it for yourself, you have an understanding from A to Z. So please get the book, save for it, work towards it, and get the book if you're really interested in truth, or you're not just interested in entertaining yourself and feeling like you're learning something. Get the book if you really want to know the truth. Otherwise, you may not be looking for the truth at all, and you're just here for entertainment, and you won't get anything of any benefit that you can pass on to your next generation. So let's continue on reading on about Pitbull here. It says, Armando Christian Perez, born January 15, known by his stage name Pitbull, also known as Mr. Worldwide, is an American rapper. His first recorded mainstream performance was a solo track from Lil Jon's 2002 album Kings of Crunk. In 2004, Pitbull released his debut album Miami on the TVT Records. His early years here, as he says, Armando Christian Perez, born 1591, took Cuban expatriates in Miami, Florida, when he was 3 years old. When he was 3. Here's the Vatican code of numbers. He says he could recite the works of Cuba's national hero and poet. Now, I'm not very sure about how a 3-year-old right there could be narrating poet work by Cuba's national hero, but just for the purposes of this video, let's believe that it did happen, and let's just read on. It says, Jose Mari in Spanish. Growing up, he was influenced by the Miami bass genre of pop music and was cited Celia Cruz and Willa, creating sources of inspiration for his music. Perez's parents separated when he was young, and he was raised by his mother. He later spent his time with his family in Roswell, Georgia. He attended South Miami Senior High School before graduating from Miami Coral Park High, where he focused on career and rapping. So the next person we're going to feature in today's video is actually Jimmy Fallon. Now, if you've been looking at Jimmy Fallon lately, you would notice that there's something always off about Jimmy Fallon that you couldn't tell. He looked like a very slender looking man, but as we're going to find out today, that Jimmy Fallon doesn't seem to have the skeletal structure that fits a male. So he goes on to say here that James Thomas Fallon, born September 19, another Vatican code of numbers. September is the 9th month according to the Gregorian calendar, which we currently use, and born on the 19th as well. They just put that 9 in there so you could know that is one of them. It's a Vatican code of numbers. It says he's an American comedian, actor, television host, singer, writer, and producer. He's known for his work in television as a cast member on Saturday Night Live and as the host of late night talk show The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. Before that, Late Night with Jimmy Fallon. He grew up with interest in comedy and music, moved to Los Angeles 21 to pursue 21 right there. the Vatican Code of Numbers to pursue opportunities in stand-up comedy. He was commissioned to join Embassy Saturday Night Live as a cast member in 1998, fulfilling a lifelong dream. Fallon remained on SNL for 6 years. 6 years! Another Vatican Code of Numbers between 1998 and 2012, hosting the program's Weekend Update segment of pre-government celebrity. In the process, he left the program for the film industry, starring in films such as Taxi and Fever Pitch. Following his film career, Fallon returned to television as the host of Late Night with Jimmy Fallon on NBC 2009. Another Vatican Code. But let's go read into the early life of Jimmy Fallon to really see what they're talking about here, so you can actually see that this is no coincidence. James Thomas Fallon was born in the Bay Bridge neighborhood of Brooklyn, New York on September 1974. The son of Gloria Neefel and James Fallon. He is of German, Irish, Norwegian descent. His paternal grandmother Lucy Schaller was German immigrant to the Oslos Chamblack, while one of the maternal great-grandfathers, Hans Holzen, was a Norwegian immigrant from Fredrikstad. On the set of great-grandparents were Thomas Fallon, an Irish from County Galway, and Lucy Sticker, the daughter of an Irishman born in France, and his Irish wife, a Vietnam War veteran. Now, here's one thing I want you guys to notice. A lot of the things that's going on in the world, the reason why the Vatican is so successful in running us is because, one, they control the money, and then they control the military. So everything that's happening in our lives is a military project. So the military is just not the military who go out to fight wars. That's a whole different division. There are divisions and divisions inside the military. So when you're watching TV, all right, you're watching a military operation at work. When you listen to your radio and listen to the music that you listen all around you, those are all military operations, because the people that you see on TV, they are all military operations. The technology that we use, the food that we eat, they are all arms of the military, because it's the military that controls everything. So that's how the Vatican has been so successful. That's why, if you notice, most of the people that you see influencing your world have some sort of military affiliation through their parents or grandparents, because they are all military projects designed by the Vatican. You also have to understand that the Jesuits, which is the controlling arm of the Vatican, which runs everything, was set up as a military structure. And the person who brought about it was, I think his name was called Loyola. There are so many things named after this Jesuit, which brought about the whole military organization that's running the world, which happens to be Jesuits today. So everything is a military design. So that's why you see all of these people show up, have some military affiliation. But let's keep on reading here just to see some other things about Jimmy Fallon. It says, Fallon's father spent his adolescence sitting in street corners, doo-wop groups. Shortly after his son's birth, he started working as a machine repairman for IBM. So you see that from the military to IBM, it's a military program. So all the technological companies that you see, the great companies, the Googles, the Microsoft, they are all military programs. All right, so let's keep on reading. It says, in preparation, the family recollected near to Saugus, New York. Fallon has described his child as idyllic, while his parents have been noticed as overprotective. He had his sister, Gloria, were unable to leave their home and said had to ride their bicycles in the backyard. Fallon attended the Roman Catholic school. So you can see right there, like I've always talked about, that it's the Vatican that runs everything. St. Mary of the Snow. He considered being a priest inspired by his experience as an altar boy. And that must be false, but become more interested in comedy instead. He spent many nights recording the radio program Dr. Dementor's Show on a reel-to-reel recorder, which exposed him to both comedy and music. So those are the two people we're going to be featuring on videos today. Pitbull, known as what's his name again, Armando Christian Perez, and Jimmy Fallon. So before I get into showing you guys the pictures and everything else, we have to talk about a few things today. What I want to talk about is that the reason a lot of people will blame, we expose the Vatican for the people controlling our reality, all right, and making it false. And people don't seem to understand why the Vatican has so much power and is doing so many things that we can't seem to even imagine and think of. The reason is this, because a lot of people may wonder, why does God allow evil to run so rampant and allow such institutions as the Vatican, which controls everything that has to do with our life, to keep on running this world, okay, and keep on deceiving and deceiving people? Now, when you get a book, we get into on explaining that there's a reason for evil. All right, evil becomes rampant in a society when people reject truth. That's number one. So a lot of us in our daily lives have rejected truth. So that's why evil is prevalent, because some person might come on this channel and hear the truth that we share and would still doubt it and will choose not to have anything to do with it and will choose not to pursue the truth and know the truth, but will pursue every other thing around them but the truth. We normally term those kind of people very delusional people. So the reason for evil being so rampant in the society is because we as individuals have rejected truth. Okay? That's one of the reasons why there's so much evil, and God allows evil to be in our lives and be in our world. Now, another thing that the reason why the Vatican is so successful and the reason why there's so much evil is that we have rejected order in our lives. We have rejected order. Now, when we talk about order here, you have to understand that order, according to the way God made order to be, is that at the beginning of time, God created man. All right? And after he created man, he created a woman from the man. Okay? And he gave all authority and dominion to the man. So, for example, the people don't understand that the devil, or Satan as we call him today, has a role in this world. People have no understanding of that. When you get a book, you get that full understanding of what Satan's role is. But let's get back into the Bible here, because we're looking at Genesis chapter number 3. We're reading from Genesis chapter number 3, and we'll be reading from certain verses in Genesis chapter number 3. So I want you to, what I'm going to read first is for you to understand the order of things. If you want to have a clear understanding of how things work in your world, you have to understand order. Most of our lives and most of our families have been thrown out of order because we do not understand the order. So for example, a man in today's world does not understand his order in his own family. A woman does not understand her order in her own family. And the child does not understand the order in her own family, or the child, whether it be him or her, does not understand the order in the family. So they all think that they can just pick up a role, all right, and act according to the role. So for example, in today's modern day family, the man is expected to be in contact with his emotions. So that means there's a lot of effeminization of males in today's society. And then there's masculinization of females. So females have taken up the roles of being the male of the house. Okay? So you find out that you have the woman being the breadwinner and the one taking care of the house and the one taking care of everything else and taking care of the children as well. And the children don't understand that they are children either. We have now children acting like adults, telling mommy and daddy what they want, what they're supposed to need, instead of the parents dictating to the children. So that's why everything has gone out of whack in today's society, because there is no order. There's no order, and we do not understand order. All right? So that is one of the reasons. So the reason why we're in so much of a mess, okay, is because we do not understand order. All right? So when you study your Bible, you will notice how God addresses things in order. So for example, when Eve ate of the fruit in the middle of the garden, which God told Adam not to eat, and when God came and spoke, He spoke to the man specifically first. God does not get out of order. He came to the man. And you can't tell me that God did not know that Eve ate the apple and gave to Adam also. And you can't tell us that God did not know that it was Satan, all right, who tempted Eve to do so. But God did not deal with the devil. So that's why you have to understand why the devil is still in our world. Because there's an order in the way things are supposed to be dealt with. So even though the devil is running around the world and doing so much stuff, and people are wondering why doesn't God just cut it short real quick and just get the devil out so that we can all live our lives? Why doesn't God deal with the Vatican? Why does he let, things get out of hand and, we're all out of whack? Is because there's an order to where God addresses stuff. So if we're trying to get back our lives together, we have to understand the order. We have to start addressing things in the specific order. So as much as a lot of people will get fixated on the Vatican and what the Vatican is doing, how about you get fixated on your own selves? Because in our book, we try to make you understand that the greatest problem is not the Vatican. The greatest problem is not the devil and Satan. The greatest problem is you. You are your own worst enemy. And we explain that so much in the book so that you understand, because you have to understand that for the devil to work, to have his plans work, he needs you. So the most important aspect in all of this happens to be you. For the Vatican to keep on doing what they're doing and be successful at what they're doing, they need you. So you are the most important constituent of this order. So if we're going to get out of this mess and get our lives right, we have to deal with the most specific and the most important person in all of this, which happens to be you. So that's why Yehoshua had said, you don't go judging other people when you are doing the same thing. You have to deal with yourself first and make sure you're not doing the things that you're judging someone else of, so you can get it right. So we have to understand order. Now let's read a little bit from Genesis here in chapter number 3, so you guys can actually see how this happened. So I'm going to be reading from Genesis chapter number 3. I'm reading from the Geneva Bible, and I'm reading from verse number 9. All right. So let me start reading from verse number 8 so you can understand. Let's go up a little bit. Let's read from verse number 7. This is how after Eve had eaten of the fruit in the middle of the garden. It says, then the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig tree leaves together and made themselves breeches. Afterward they heard the voice of the Lord walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and the man and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God among the trees of the garden. Now see specifically how God talks. He didn't talk to the devil. He didn't talk to Eve, because God understands Adam. And when you see how God started dealing with things, he started dealing with things, in the specific order. Because when he had finished speaking with Adam, all right, he now spoke with Eve, okay, and then from Eve he now spoke with the devil. That was the order that God spoke. Adam, because that's who he designated the order to, then Eve, and then Satan. Okay? So here is what God said. He said, but the Lord God called to the man, and he said unto him, where art thou? And Adam said, who said, I heard thy voice in the garden and was afraid, because I was naked, therefore I hid myself. And God still spoke to Adam again and said, he said, who told you that you were naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat? He didn't even speak to the devil. He did not speak to the devil. It's only after he spoke to Adam and spoke to Eve that he now addressed the devil. And when the man said, the woman which thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And the Lord God said to the woman, why hast thou done this? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. Then the Lord God said to the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and thus shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. I will also put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and his seed. He shall break thine head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. So this is how God addressed the order, specifically from Adam to Eve, and then to the serpent. Eve's name is not even Eve, or Eve's name was, I think it's from it's Hebrew, from the word, I think, Hava. When you get the book, we get into all that full explanation of what the name of Eve actually means. So there is an order in the way things are, and that's why things have been thrown out of whack, because we are not dealing with things in the order that is supposed to be dealt with. And the first order of the day always happens to be you. If Satan and the devil has to cease from operation in today's world, the most important constituent in all of this is you. Because without you, the devil cannot succeed. Without you, the Vatican cannot succeed. Because when you read this story, that's why it's so important for you to study your Bible, to understand things, because everything has a reason. So, for example, when you study your Bible, especially the Geneva Bible and the King James Bible, and you see the way things are placed in order, in the way God talks to things specifically, you have to understand that order of him talking to things is not just there for your amusement. He's not just trying to tell you a story. There is a reason why, so you can understand how to deal with things yourself. So the most important constituent in all that's happening in our world is because we have allowed it to happen, because we have not dealt with the most important aspect of all this deception, which happens to be us. Because if you notice here in this specific portion of the Bible, the devil did not talk to angels, all right, to help him get dominion of this earth and get the dominion that God had given to man. He spoke to a man. The angels don't have any real power, even though they have power, but that power is not real. We don't have time to explain that on this particular video, but maybe in the future we'll explain that. Even though they have power, you have to understand the angels are messengers. A messenger only has the power and authority that's given to him by his master. God created man to be a master. The angels were created to be servants. So they only have the power that has been given to them, because master, the man, is supposed to be controlling the angels. That's why the Bible tells us that we will judge angels. And let me show you guys that, so you can understand how powerful man was given authority. Let me show you that so we can continue reading this. So here it is, the part that I want you to understand, so you can understand that God created man as masters. Even though angels have power, but all the power they have is directly laid under control to man. So that's part of the reason why Satan himself did not like the idea, that God had given all this authority to man, and that he was not giving this authority to angels. So that is part of what happened. Well, that's part of the story that people don't really understand that was going on in the Garden of Eden. and why man is very, very important is because all authority in the world was given to man, made of flesh and blood, and doesn't have, superpowers like angels, but authority to make commands, and everything in the world should obey them. So, because remember, man was created in the image and likeness of God. Those are two very important, specific, very, very strong words: image and likeness. Image means, for example, when you look into a mirror, what you're seeing on the opposite side of the mirror is your image. What does likeness mean? Likeness means character. Likeness means likeness means everything that has to do with the constituent of what that thing is. That's what it means, likeness. So study your Bible to really understand it. So let's read this so you can understand that man is the ultimate master in this world. That's why God created man, because he had given him all power. Just as God was God, he wanted man to be that same way, but all the same, just below him in authority. That's what the Bible says. All right. So if you read here in First Corinthians chapter number 6, that's what we're reading from. First Corinthians chapter number 6, and we're reading from verse number 3. It says, "Know ye not that we shall judge angels?" I read it again. "Know ye not that we shall judge the angels? How much more things that pertain to this life?" So you can understand the reason why the world is in so much turmoil, and you had these fallen angels coming down to the daughters of men, is because they were trying to create some sort of angelic line, all right, or angelic sons unto them, so that they could be the ones in authority and not man in authority over the angels. I hope you guys understand this whole cosmic battle that's been happening now. So all this information is in a book. When you get it, you get the full understanding and so much more, because we cannot share enough in the videos. So save for it and work towards it. It will be the best investment that you've ever made, because we share our whole world history. So you can understand from A to Z everything, because we can't do enough in the videos. And like we've talked about before, everything digital can be corrupted. The reason why we're having so much misunderstanding in our world is because everything is digital. For example, the movies that you watch are digital. So that's why the Vatican can change history on a dime, for example, and present Egyptians as having straight hair and pale skin, when Egyptians were not that way, because it's digital. Because all the artifacts that the Egyptians left as markers and identifiers for themselves, the statues, the mummies, the pyramids, they painted pictures of themselves in their true color, showing that they were black men with woolly hair, which the Vatican is going through so much work trying to change it. You can't change things set in stone and written over in paper. You can only change things digitally. That's why we have so much digital information. So the Vatican can change it at any point in time. So get our book, because the history is now hard-coded, is now in hard copy. If somebody's going to arrange that, or sorry, if somebody's going to change that, it's going to show that they made changes. So that's why history is very, very important in books. And history is not just what is written in books, it's everything you see, read, or hear, and our book encodes all of that. So this is the whole reason, all right, what we're trying to explain is that you have to understand. Don't get caught up in the fact that the Vatican, all right, is running our world. Don't caught up being angry with the devil. Get caught up with yourself, because you're the most important aspect of this deception. The deception is happening in the world because we are allowing it. Because we believe in authority. We have allowed authority. When we're talking about authority here, we're talking about the various organizations and arms of government which are used to run our world. We have allowed authority to dictate to us what is truth, what is real, and what is not. When we're supposed to allow truth to be the authority, we are allowing authorities to be the truth. Truth is the authority. So that's why you have to love truth and go after it. Okay? So let's continue on and finish up this to get into the transvestigation part of our video, so we can end this video real quick, and I hope you guys have learned something so far. Let's go. So for the first timers on a particular channel and you've watched the video up to this particular point in time, we advise that you go watch the primer video first, and then you can come back and continue watching these videos, because without you watching the primer video, a lot of things that I've just said from that you've heard me talk about in the past maybe 30 minutes or so is not going to make any sense to you at all, because you're going to have start the story at the ending instead of starting the story in the beginning. So please get on the channel and look for the video called Primer. I'm hovering my mouse right over it right here. There's also a playlist for it on the channel called Primer. There are about I'd say about 3 or 4 other videos inside the Primer playlist, which is very important that you should watch, especially the Primer 2 here after watching the Primer 1, and then you can watch the Theory of Surrogates and the Theory of Surrogates part number 2. But watch the Primer first and watch the Primer 2 secondly, and we'll give you a very clear understanding of what we're doing. Now, and also with every video that we make on this particular channel, there is a link in the description section. I'm hovering my mouse right over it. For the first time subscribers or first time people coming to the channel, please click on this link. This link is going to take you to a document. The document is called Male versus Female Visual Differences. It's very important that you watch this that you download this document and you read it, because it will give you the visual differences between male and female based on the primary skeletal difference and the secondary female and male characteristics, which do not always line up because our world we as a people are being fed hormones and so many poisons that's making the female and male characteristics, secondary characteristics rather, not to line up. So that's why on our channel we only deal with the primary skeletal difference, because when the primary skeletal difference is correct, you're going to understand how the secondary female and male characteristics line up. So that's why on our channel, if you come up to our channel and you label someone based on the secondary female or male characteristics of saying, for example, the person has maybe long arms, long torsos, has a strong jawline, has an Adonis belt, has an Adam's apple, has facial hair, has a brow ridge, and all those secondary female and male characteristics, which will not line up because they can be changed through surgery, and that and also because of the foods that we eat and the hormones and the poisons that we have in our meals, then we are going to block you on our channel for slandering, because you're not paying attention to what you're supposed to be paying attention to. You're just busy talking out of the corner of your mouth and labeling everybody a transgender because you believe in lies. Like we have explained already earlier in the video, that you are the most important constituent in this deception. This deception that's happening in this world is because you, the listener, are making it possible, because you're not doing your due diligence. So for example, if you notice in our world today, we have a lot of wayward children and kids that have gone out of order, and a lot of the times the parents can't seem to understand what's wrong. How did I give birth to such a child? It's because you as a parent have not done your own job. That's why those kids are coming out the way they are. You have allowed the Vatican to take control of your children and teach them what to hear, what they read, and what they see, instead of you taking the time, all right, to make sure that you show your kids, you teach them what they should hear, what they should listen to, and what they should read. So blame yourself. You're the most important aspect of all this deception. You have allowed it possible. The Vatican is doing its job just because it's there to do its job, because evil has a purpose in this world, is to make sure that the enemies of God are destroyed. That's what evil is for. So if you yourself get caught up in it, it's because you've allowed it. You've allowed it because you're not doing your due diligence to make sure that it's not happening. So for example, now when we encourage people to get the book, they think we're just trying to sell you a book. We are not. We are doing our own due diligence so that you should not continue on in this deception. And a lot of people will not get the book because they think, I don't need it. Maybe I have the videos. The videos are not enough. Anybody who's read the book can tell you, can testify to that fact, that you have not seen anything or heard anything on the videos, because there's so much we can say, so much we can do on these videos because of the Vatican. So get the book and have a firm understanding. All right, all our information is on the screen for you to get the book if you're interested in it, if you're interested in truth. But if you want to keep on living your lives and keep living on the deception and think that you have something going on and maybe the book is too expensive, which is not our own doing, that's up to you. Unless you've spent so much money on houses, clothes, cars, tons of money, if they want to count the total number of money you've spent all through your life, it's more than what the book is at the end of the day. And it's all to try to help you. But that's what it is. So let's continue on with this transvestigation so we can finish up this video. Let's get Nick deep into identifying the skeletal differences, the primary skeletal difference in which that everybody's based on, because males and females are different in their skeletal structure. That's what identifies the gender, not the genitals. The genitals are secondary. They are based on the primary, which is the skeletal difference. So I want you guys to always remember that. So you're looking at a female to the left of her screen. As you can see, a female has an arch in the back. And why does a female have an arch in the back? It's because her pelvis is tilted forward. Why is the female pelvis tilted forward? So that a baby can stay inside the womb for the 9 months of conception that a baby goes through before he or she is born into this world. If you draw the arch of a female's back from below the shoulder blade, it's going to form a deep C arch in the back. If you draw it from high above the shoulder blade, it's going to form an S-shaped arch in the back. So I want you to remember those two letters: a C-shaped back for a female or an S-shaped back for a female. Those two letters, S and C, have to do with the female's back. For the males, the letters have to be a P and a D, or a straight back, straight up and down. So if a man's back wants to arch, it's going to arch outwards into the shape of a D or a P, and is going to be straight into the pelvis with no arch, because males do not get pregnant. So they don't have a tilted pelvis forward. They have a straight pelvis. All right. So that's the skeletal difference between the male and the female. Males do not get pregnant. They have straight pelvises, therefore no arches in their back, and their backs shaped like a D or a P and is straight. So remember those two letters. So let's get into dive down into the document just to show you that a female's back is always going to arch much more. And if you notice, females are very, very flexible. There are certain things. This is the best way I can put it. A woman has a greater balance than a man. If you've noticed that, females are always very, very balanced. So that's why a woman can wear heels and walk and have no problem, because they have an understanding of balance. A bro can wear heels. He's gonna have problems walking, because males do not have a sense of balance as much as females. Now, why do females have that great sense of balance? It's because the females is designed to bear children, and the extra weight of pregnancy is made such a way that her center of balance is is much more closer to the ground. So that's why females have a greater balance. All right. So as you can see right here, this female has an arch in her back right here, and a pelvis, because her pelvis is tilted forward. It doesn't matter the size that the female comes in, because most people think that if the female is big, tall, or small, there's not going to be any arch in her back. All females have an arch in their back, irrespective of the size. So as you can see here, here's a big female to the left of her screen. She has an arch in the back, and the pelvis is tilted forward. A smaller female to the right of her screen, arch in the back, and the pelvis is tilted forward. It doesn't matter if the female's got muscles. Nothing can change the skeletal structure, because a lot of mutilated, for example, males think that they can turn into females when they mutilate themselves, because in the real world there's no such thing as transgender. It's mutilated males and females. Transgender is just a name that came up to confuse more people, especially those people who hate the truth and love lies, into believing that a male can turn into a female. When a man takes drugs, the only thing that's going to change in his body is going to be the muscle content, it's going to be the water content, it's going to be the fat content, and nothing can change that skeletal structure. A man's hips will always be above his crotch, and a man's back will always be straight with no arch. Even though they remove the ribs and try to make it look feminine, the back is still going to be straight. So nothing can change that skeletal structure once it's been determined at conception. That's why from dead remains of human bones, you can determine the sex of someone, whether it's male or female, because nothing can change the skeletal structure. So muscular female here lifting weights, she still has an arch in the back. Another muscular female here lifting weights, there's still an arch in the back, because nothing can change the skeletal structure. Let's go play the clip of the most important aspect in the skeletal structure, which differentiates the females, which is the hips. The hips of a female are below the crotch, so that she can have easy access to childbirth, and the hips are out of the way to have enough space in the pelvic region for a baby to stay there for the 9 months of conception. Let's go do that. So here's the clip I'm gonna play. Is a clip of a female getting measured into clothes, because this is how all females get measured into clothes. Without this correct measurement, a lot of the clothes that are being sewn around the world in many different countries and shipped to so many different countries would not fit the females in there, because if they didn't know the place, all right, in where the female's hip is supposed to be, a lot of the clothes would not fit. And that means if we were to believe that females have, because a lot of people think that females have varying degrees in places for their hips. All location of the female hip is below the crotch. If you're a woman and you found out that your hips are above your crotch, you have to understand that you were taken as a baby and someone played around with you and made you think that you're a woman when you're not. And I'm sorry about that if that's happened to you. I say that with all amount of sincerity that and honesty, because this is what the Vatican is doing to children all around the world. They take children and these babies from very young ages and turn them into products to make them to be used to run a world, just like the people we're going to be talking about in a video today, which happens to be Jimmy Fallon and Pitbull. So let's get into this clip. With a regular female, when regular females, it means you're shaped the way a female is supposed to be shaped. That means if you stand in the mirror and you put your arms around yourself, you start noticing from underneath that your elbows that you start getting wider, and the widest point will always be your hips, which is below the crotch. So that's what we mean by a regular female. There's no such thing as shoulder to hip ratio that makes a woman, because you hear that on a lot of channels which are trying to confuse you. There is no such thing. The location of the female hip is below the crotch. So it doesn't matter if your shoulders are wider than your hips. That does not make you male, because your location of your hips is below the crotch. And with regular females, with all females, rather, not just regular females, let me choose my words carefully. With every female, a female has a wider pubic arch. The pubic arch is the space in between the thighs, all right? The reason for the wide pubic arch is so that a baby can come out comfortably from a woman's womb without having any problems. So that's why a female has a wider pubic arch. Now, because of that wider pubic arch, everything inside the pelvic region of a female is further pushed apart. So that's why a female has an hourglass figure, because everything in her pelvis is further pushed apart. So the hips are now even further apart, making it even more acute of an hourglass figure, because the Q angle of the female is below the crotch. So for females, all Q angles start below the crotch. The Q angle is the angle of between the hip and the knee. And for females, it's very, very acute because of the wider pubic arch, which makes everything further apart. So I play this clip for you to show, for you to see where the tape goes around there, that it goes around and it's below the crotch, because that's the location for the female hip. Now this female is going to turn around so you can see from the back the location of that hip, or where it is from the back. As you can see right there, the location for the female hip is slightly above the bum line but below the crotch. So I always tell this to a lot of people: if you have difficulty in trying to see if the person is male or female from the front, and you cannot ascertain if the Q angle is acute or not. Try to see if you can find a picture from the back, because when you see somebody from the back, you're immediately going to identify that's a man and that's a woman, because that the cuteness of the Q angle shows much more from the back, because for the females it's below the crotch and for males it's above the crotch. So the distance from the female hip in the back, all right, from the bum line is very small, so it's almost at the same level with the bum line, the female hip. So if you find out, if you're looking at a picture of someone and you find out that this Q angle is farther up away from this bum line from the back, then you should know that that's a male. And let me show you an example in a picture so you guys can see what I'm talking about. All right, here is a picture. Here's a picture of Jennifer Lopez with Iggy Azalea. Let me try to blow this up so you guys can see what's going on here. Now, Jennifer Lopez is a female. Her Q angle is below the crotch, but it's not showing that way because right here she's standing in a slanted, she's tilted to the side, so it looks like it's up, but it's actually below. It's because she's it's just like holding a picture and twist it to the side. So if we were to try to rotate this picture and put it in the proper position of how Jennifer Lopez should stand, this Q angle would actually show below the crotch because she's tilted herself to the left in a diagonal fashion. So that's why it looks this way. Now what I want you to pay attention to is Iggy Azalea over here. Now here is Iggy Azalea's bum line right here. If you notice, the Q angle of Iggy Azalea is so high and far away from this bum line. Can you notice that? The Q angle of Iggy Azalea starts right here. The bum line is right here. Why? Because Iggy Azalea is male. So that's why the Q angle or the hip is farther away from the bum line, because that's how males are. Their hips are farther away from the bum line because it's male. So if you've been looking at Iggy Azalea and you think that Iggy Azalea is a female, you've been looking at a bona fide mutilated male. Iggy Azalea is no female. So that is what happens here with all females, or all males rather. The Q angle is always going to be farther away from the bum line if it's male. But if you're female, the Q angle is going to be just slightly above the bum line right here, almost not noticeable for you to understand that you're looking at a female. All right, so let's talk about some few things and get into the transvestigation of Pitbull and Jimmy Fallon and end up this video. So what you're looking at on the screen right here is the strikes that have been landed on our account, because the Vatican is very much interested in making those who seek the truth not to get to the truth. All right, the devil is hard at work trying to make sure that everybody is in on all the lies and deception. So they're trying to shut us down. But like if we've talked about before, they can shut down this channel at any point in time, but they cannot shut down a book. How are you going to shut down a book? It's not possible. So that's why we put all the information that you need inside the book. You've been watching our videos and you're thinking that you're getting something out of it. We have to let you understand that what you're getting is just 5% of the whole entire truth. If you're interested in the whole truth and you're not just playing around thinking that you are, save and get the book. We don't own a printing press. If we owned a printing press, these books would be so cheap as dirt. But we can do it. Go around and ask how much it does cost to print a 934-page book in color, so you can have a perfect and very clear understanding of what's going on in our world. Then you could come back and judge us. So if you think you're interested in the truth and you have not gotten the book, it does show that you're not. That's just the honest truth about it. Because if someone were to ask you, all right, go and pay $500. A book doesn't cost $500. We're just giving an example right here. Go and pay $500 and get $10 million. All right. And it's not a scam. I'm very sure a lot of people in this world would make sure that they would find $500 if it meant to borrow it, or to take it, or to borrow it, or ask, or save for it, okay? And you have $500 and go pay and get $10 million. You would do it. If somebody told you that you had an inheritance of $10 billion and all you needed to pay was $500 to get it, you would make sure that you had $500 to get that $10 million. That's how you know that you're interested in the truth. Because what does the Bible say? It says, go after truth, search for it, take a hold of it, and keep it. So get the book. It's very, I don't know how to say this enough. Get the book, because we believe it's the only history that we have left. A puzzle that has been going on around for so many years, for more than 500 years now, or right from the beginning of time. We've tried to condense it and put it into a book so you understand it. We're saying this with all humility. The book is one of the best things that you can ever have besides your Bible, the Geneva Bible and the King James Bible. So save for it and get it. We do not know how long this channel is going to be up. All what we're trying to do is save humanity and save God in the process, because that's all what we are called to serve God Almighty by the grace of Yehoshua. So get the book, try as much as possible, save for it and get it while we still can, because we never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So the Vatican is trying to shut us down in so many ways. They landed strikes on account. The first was for a Selena Q video in which they said that we had nudity on it. But you can see right here there is no minute mark for the nudity and sexual content which they say, because the Selena Q video does not have any sexual or nude content in it. We were all trying to just tell people the truth, to make people understand that Selena Q, a very popular Hispanic singer which has been used to deceive the Hispanic world for so long, was not the gender that she claimed, that she was actually male instead of female, and they landed a strike on account. So if you're interested in watching that Selena Q video, look for the Bono video on the channel to give you instructions on how to watch that. Now they landed another strike on account, this time for the Real Gender Not Transgender or Transsexual series part number 4. And the reason why they landed the strike on account, they said that we were harassing and bullying people, as you can read right here. But we don't harass and bully anybody. We just tell you the whole truth and nothing but the truth. I know the truth hurts a lot of people to hear it, but what would you have if you're somebody who's really interested in knowing what's going on? Or let's say, for example, you're sick, all right? Would you be interested in knowing the truth about your sickness, or you want to live a lie and a deception? All right? So that's what we do on this channel. We just tell you the whole raw truth. And we don't keep it, we don't dilute it, we don't try to play mind games or words with it. We just tell you as it is. If it's any different, we still tell you. We're just here to tell you the truth. But the Vatican landed a strike on account and said we were harassing and bullying people, because in that particular video, the reason why they landed the strike was because we tried to tell people that the Las Vegas shooting was a hoax set up by the Vatican, which controls the United States government, which is used to control so many other governments through lies and deception in this world, that they set up that hoax of the Las Vegas shooting so they can put or pass a law on bump stock, which would limit the ability of a rifle to turn into, or a gun to turn into, a semi-automatic or an automatic rifle because of a bump stock attachment. And they landed a strike on account, and then they decide to deceive us or use a diversion tactic of saying that the video has harassed people and was bullying people, instead of telling you the guys the truth, that is because we talked about the bump stock. So we do not know how this channel is going to be. We don't know how long it's going to be. It could be shut down at any point in time. So please get our book. All right, get our book, and you can subscribe up to the Tricks of the S Trade, the second channel too. It's called Tricks of the S Trade 2. Subscribe as well to that, so in case this channel goes down, we have some sort of avenue to reach you before our website comes up. All right, we're building our website, and we're taking our time to, because you have to understand, if you're going to build websites, you have to go through so many laws that the Vatican has set up so they can watch the website and put it on their radar. So we're working hard on trying to find the best way to make that possible without them shutting the website at any point in time down also. So until that happens, all our contact information is on the screen. Get our book also. So You will always have this truth which the Vatican cannot shut down, so you can save it and pass it on to your next generation. So that's all the information I have for now. So let's dive deep into the transvestigation of Pitbull and Jimmy Fallon. So here is Pitbull, where a lot of people love to listen to, and they don't know that Pitbull is actually a female. We couldn't tell this for a very long time, but we could always say something was off. And I think I want to thank a very special subscriber of ours for bringing this to our attention as well. The subscriber's name is Chris. Chris, I haven't heard from you for a very long time. I hope you're doing okay and keep doing what you're doing, and for bringing this to our attention. But as you can notice right here, Pitbull's Q angle is below the crotch. Don't worry about the fake package that's going on here, because you can actually tell from the roundness of the thighs that this is the thigh of a female and not that of a male, because this Q angle is below the crotch, from where all Q angles of a female start. As you can see, this humongous hips that he has, and Pitbull has a very nice sense of fashion. All that fashion is done to draw your attention away from the feminine figure that she has, because the Vatican is covering her up pretty well, and they don't want you to understand you've been looking at a woman all along, because Pitbull is 100% female. Q angle is below the crotch and huge humongous hips. Some more pictures of Pitbull, and here is Pitbull. As you can tell right here, you can see how wide this crotch is and pubic arch, because this is the pubic arch of a female. If we wanted to end the video right here, this picture should suffice, because you can see right here that doesn't look like Pitbull has any scrotum in here. This looks like the female labia, everything that's going on right here. You can see how wide the pubic arch is. As you can see from here, the bottom of a female, right, the pubic arch starts over here and down here, because this is the pubic arch right here, and the hips start right there, right? That's what Pitbull has right there, because Pitbull is 100% female and not a man in any way. It doesn't look like there is any form of scrotum in here. I want you guys to take a very good look at this picture and marinate for a while, but because you can tell from the roundness of the thighs, the wide pubic arch, that this is a female labia with no scrotum, because Pitbull is 100% woman and not a man in any way. Let's go to the next picture of Pitbull. Hold on a second. So let's continue on to the next picture of Pitbull. After taking a good look at this one, on the wide pubic arch, the female labia showing through the pants, the full round thighs that a female usually has, because Pitbull's been deceiving us for a very long time. I'm trying to mimic that song, but I think I shouldn't do it. Let's go. Here's Pitbull again, and you can tell that's a female right there. That's how a female sits. And that's how the pubic arch shows, because the female pelvis is wider than that of a man, and you can see the full round thighs and the long female pelvis. And then we're going to talk about the hands, which is secondary, but you guys can notice that as well. If you guys who are always looking at the secondary characteristics for male and female instead of looking at the primary, which we're looking at right here, and look at the long pelvis. Look at the length of the pelvis from wherever the belt is. It's so long. No man's pelvis is going to be this long, because males have very short pelvises. Even though when you study your biology books and everything else, they'll tell you that the male pelvis is longer than that of a female. But it's actually very false, because if you notice, the female butt is always longer, wider, and bigger, because the pelvis is supposed to be wider and bigger to have children or babies inside the pelvic region. So how can a male pelvis, which is not designed to give birth, be longer than that of a female? That's how the Vatican plays mind games on you, because they control the whole educational system. The educational system is not to educate you, it's to indoctrinate and mind control you for the system that the Vatican uses, which is the system of white supremacy, or as we know it today, albino supremacy. Because when you say white, what you're actually saying is that you're an albino, because it's from the Latin word albus, and it's not in reference to any color, because there is no such color as white. White is an absence of all color. If you're interested in all that information, get on the channel and look for the playlist called The Myth of Whiteness. All right, and watch all that. It's a 15-part series. It will do you a whole world of good. So let's continue on with Pitbull right here. And here is Pitbull with Jennifer Lopez, walking in the very same manner that Jennifer Lopez walks. As you can see, Pitbull is in a catwalk, because this is how females walk. Females walk in a catwalk because the pelvis of a female is wider than that of a male. All right, so because of that wider pelvis and wider pubic arch, the feet or the legs of a female need to come inside to balance the weight of the body. So the legs, instead of doing one thing like the male leg, which just means to pull its feet forward and walk, a female legs needs to do two things. It needs to come inside the body and forward at the same time. Hence, that's why a female swings from side to side, because of that motion of the legs doing two things, coming inside and forward at the same time. So this is what females do to balance their weight, even though they're doing it unconsciously and don't know that's what they're doing. But that's what actually the biomechanics of the body is doing to balance the wide pelvis. So the legs come forward and inside, making a female to catwalk and lean all her weight into the feet that's in front of her to balance that weight. So that's what Pitbull is doing, because Pitbull is 100% female, walking in the same way just like Jennifer Lopez to the left is doing, both catwalking, leaning the weight of the body into the feet that's in front. And you can see the cute angle of Pitbull here, which is below the crotch. Now, Pitbull's clothes are specially designed to hide the hips, so henceforth they make it to have a very long lapel to make you believe that the crotch is all around here, but it's not. The crotch is right around here, hence the cute Q angle below it, which is below the crotch, because Pitbull is 100% female. Let's get into some other pictures of Pitbull. And here I just wanted you to notice that Pitbull, as usual, starts spreading like a female does, but he's trying to hide it, or she's trying to hide it, because, pardon me when I say he or she, you guys know what I'm talking about. She's trying to hide it, so she puts her legs farther apart in the body to hide the curves, rather. But she can't hide it very much, because as you can see, she still spreads, all right, wider from underneath the elbows, and then she's trying to clasp her arms in front of a pubic region like males do. But if you notice, the hand clasp is so short, because if a male claps his hands like this, it's going to be farther down below the crotch, because the male arm is longer. But with Pitbull, it's shorter, so it's higher above, above the crotch for a female, because of the shorter arms. It's not longer below the crotch like it should be for a male, because Pitbull is 100% female and not a man in any way. Been masquerading around for a very long time. And here is Pitbull again, having the long butt of a female. I think this was during the presentation that Pitbull has here, was during the World Cup held in Brazil. I think that was 4 years ago, if I'm right or wrong. I don't remember when the World Cup was played, but it could be in Brazil. I think it was in Brazil. That was the last World Cup we had. And here is Pitbull right here with the long butt that a female has, because Pitbull is 100% female. No man's butt is going to be this long. Reaches all the way down here? No. Man's butt is going to terminate somewhere around here, because a man's butt starts abruptly and ends quickly, because it's not the butt of a male, or the pelvis of a male is not designed to give birth. So if you notice, Pitbull has the same long butt like the female that's over here. I've forgotten what the name of this female is, but she also performed during the World Cup. Long butt, the same long butt that you can see that's ending below the crotch, the same long butt that that Pitbull has here, which is and also ending below the crotch, because Pitbull is 100% female. So when you were watching the World Cup in Brazil and seeing these three people perform, you were actually thinking it's one male and two females, but no, they were all three females. Because when you watch a live performance, a musical performance, live on TV, or when you go to maybe any other event and you see all these live performances, these performances are rituals immersing the world in Satanism. It's not just an entertainment package that you're watching. It's a whole lot of Satanism in there, because they're harnessing, the best way I can put it is like they're worshiping the Satan and the devil in all these concerts, because all these people right here are priests, priestesses, and high degree temple prostitutes, serving in so many temples which the Vatican runs all around the world. For more of that, get a book and you have a full understanding of all what we're saying. But Pitbull, regardless, right here was in an open-air ritualistic concert during concert during the World Cup, immersing the world during the World Cup into worship, because that's why they put them up here. 3 females, symbolic, and this one is a mutilated one, so you guys wouldn't know that. So let's continue on with more of these pictures of Pitbull. We're still showing you that Pitbull still has the same long butt of a female right here, ending below the crotch, because Pitbull is 100% female. The same long butt of the female that's over here, as well as Jennifer Lopez, because they are all females. Alright, let's go. Another picture of Pitbull, and you can see how Pitbull swings and sways here, right? Imagine the distance of this pelvis. It's so long. A man's pelvis is never this long. If this was a man, his pelvis from the belt down here would end right around here. It would be half this length. But Pitbull is 100% female. And looking at this body, where do you think the navel of Pitbull is going to be at? Because normally when you wear a belt, it's always going to be below your navel. Whether you're male or females, belts always fit below the navel, because that's where your waist is supposed to be at. But since they're trying to misconstrue that this is Pitbull's waist right here, because with a female waist, it's always going to be above the navel. But regardless, when you wear clothing, it's also sometimes, in most cases, if you're female wearing pants, the belt is going to be below your navel. And this is what's happening here with Pitbull. So if you think, where would Pitbull's navel be? Right here, it would be here, which is halfway into the length of the torso of the body, because that's where the female navel is supposed to be at. Halfway into the length of the torso of the body, because if you draw the torso of Pitbull from his shoulders all the way down here, it's half. If you draw it from here, from that navel down onto where the pubic region ends, and you can see right there that there is no scrotum right there. That looks like a female labia. You could just see right there what's going on, because Pitbull is 100% female. So his navel is right around here, or her navel is right around here, and the distance is way too inside the torso of the body, because Pitbull is 100% female, with a cute Q angle and swinging like a female should do to the side, because she is 100% woman. And if you notice, there is not a lot of pictures of Pitbull, because he breathes, or she breathes so much sexuality on stage as a male, but you hardly find any pictures of Pitbull shirtless, because she's 100% female. All right, so Pitbull again here, as you can see, this acute Q angle is below the crotch, because Pitbull is 100% female. The Q angle is below the crotch, and you can tell. I don't want to talk about the arms, but like we said before, the pelvis right here is way too long to be male, because the navel will be right around here, deep set into the center of the torso of the body, because Pitbull is 100% female. Let's go with another picture of Pitbull. The same thing here. The Q angle, as we told you before, is below the crotch from the behind, because this would be where Pitbull's bum line right here, and this Q angle is right around here below the crotch, a cute Q angle, because Pitbull is 100% female, like the 2 other females of Jennifer Lopez. And I don't quite remember the name of this lady. Let me see if I can find out the name of the lady so you guys can know. Right, so the lady's name that I was talking about was Claudia Let. I don't know how that's pronounced, Let or Let. She's from Brazil, Portuguese, born 10 July 1980. So that was that. So let's get back into our transvestigations. So let's go to the next picture right here to continue on. I went too fast, sorry. Okay, I think I didn't go too fast. Here is Pitbull again, and you can see that's why you can't make any role models, because a lot of people believe in Chris Brown, that Chris Brown tells you the truth. He's an upstanding guy, You have to understand that everybody you see on your TV influencing your world in one way shape or the other. They've all been groomed under the Vatican system right from childhood to be in that position. They're not there by accident, by providence, or their own hard work. So if you're trying to get on TV, I don't want you to fall for this deception because you'll never get on it. That's why there is so much talent, especially in acting and singing, but they never make it to the big stage. Why? Because the Vatican controls that. All right. So that's why it's a very small world. You can be there if you are not groomed from childhood to be there. So don't make your dreams about being on TV and everything else. You don't need to be on TV. If you love music, just do music on your own. Just do it. You can go. There's so many ways you can perform music and make others enjoy your talent than trying to make it onto the big stage and be as big as Chris Brown or whatever. Those are all Vatican people. So being a celebrity, a lot of people don't misunderstand that, because in so many countries around the world, a lot of children grow up thinking that they should be celebrities when they don't understand the concept behind what it means to be a celebrity. It means you have to be being trained by the Vatican right from childhood to be there. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. You're gonna have broken dreams and broken hearts. Save yourself from those broken dreams and pursue each career that you want individually. Don't care about being on the big stage. You can do it do it on your own and sing to a small group of people, or try as much as possible to get people to hear your music one way or the other. You can do it online, or you can sell it individually from your own self. Don't try to get into all that Vatican celebrityness and be a big star, because it's never going to happen. All right, you have to know how the system works so you know how to work around it. So Pitbull here is actually female being embraced by Chris Brown, and you can notice the difference. The long butt of a female goes all the way down, right? Because you can see that the cute Q angle of Pitbull starts right around here, because Pitbull is 100% female. The long butt of female all the way down, and the cuteness of the Q angle just starting below the crotch, because Pitbull is 100% female. Let's go to another picture of Pitbull, and here's Pitbull again with that same lady, Claudia Litt, the Brazilian. But you can see the way Pitbull bends right here, his legs, he's bending below the crotch, because that's where his Q angle and his hips are, below the crotch, not above it like it should be for a male, but below. If you follow my mouse around here, I know the picture is a little bit blurry because she's wearing white, but Pitbull, regardless, 100% female. You can see the long pelvis of a female right here all the way down, because Pitbull is 100% female. Let's go to another picture of Pitbull. Here's Pitbull in shorts. You can still notice the cute Q angle is below the crotch, because Pitbull is 100% female and not a man in any way. Been deceiving you guys for way too long. You need to wake up from this deception. All right, let's go another picture of Pitbull right here. And here's Pitbull. This is clear as night and day. You can see the way Pitbull bends here, his legs. He's bending from below the crotch, because all females bend their legs on thighs and cross their legs from below the crotch, not above it. Let me blow this picture up as much as I can so you can see that it's bending from here, below the crotch, not above it. Don't worry about what's going on here. It's fake. It's not real. It's attached. It could be worn. The cuteness of the Q angle, the primary skeletal structure, tells you that it's female, because Pitbull is 100% female. Let's go to another picture of Pitbull again. Still the same thing here. Bending her thighs like a female should. And they've put her on a lot of testosterone, so it makes it look like the muscles are really showing here, and the hairiness of the legs. But we can look at the skeletal structure that Pitbull is bending from below the crotch like a female should, because Pitbull is 100% female and not a man in any way. Let's go to another picture of Pitbull. And here's the most we could try to find of Pitbull shirtless. We couldn't even find a picture online. And even then, you can see that the cup is covering up the navel. We don't know, we can't see, or we don't know where the navel is at, but we assume it's right around here. The navel should be right around here. And if that's the position for the Pitbull's navel, it's way too high set into the torso of the body to be male, because that's the line and position that it should be for a female, because Pitbull is 100% female and not a man in any way. Let's go to another picture of Pitbull. You can still see the acute Q angle is below the crotch, even though with much of the fashion sense and the specially sewn pants trying to hide that fact, we can still see that the long pelvis of a female shows up, and this acute Q angle is below the crotch and not above it like it should be for a male, because Pitbull is 100% female. All right, not a man in any way. Here's Pitbull with Enrique Iglesias, who's male, but you guys can notice the difference. The acute Q angle is below the crotch, while you can see how short the pants, the length of the length of the lapel of the pants that Enrique Iglesias is wearing here. It's very short, like a man should be. All right, very short. But they make Pitbull's on will start right around here, and see how long it travels all the way down, because it's a female pelvis trying to hide it and pretend that it's male. And this acute Q angle is below the crotch because Pitbull is 100% female. You can still tell from the hourglass figure and huge, humongous hips that she has, that is 100% female and not a man in any way. Here's Pitbull again. We just wanted to show you so you can see that Pitbull's navel is going to be right around here, too far into the torso of the body, and travels all the way down to the crotch, which is right around here, because Pitbull is 100% female and not a man in any way. Been lying away for too long. Let's go. We already showed you that picture. Here is Pitbull. We already showed you this picture again. We already showed you that, but you can still see the long butt of a female traveling all the way down. Look at the length of that butt. So long, humongously long, because Pitbull is 100% female and not a man. 3 females were performing in the World Cup opening ceremony in Brazil: Jennifer Lopez and Claudia Litt, because they are all females serving the Vatican. Here's the picture of when we caught, because we were looking at Pitbull, and then we found this picture of Jimmy Fallon. We always knew that Jimmy Fallon looked funny, but we didn't have time to look into her. But we do on this video, so you're gonna tell that Jimmy Fallon is 100% female as well, because Jimmy Fallon, right? He's trying to find the male waist, but it doesn't exist because it's a female. Males don't place their hands on their waist this way, and this acute Q angle is below the crotch, as we'll find out. The same with Pitbull, as you can see, these huge hips and this acute Q angle, because you can see how long his pelvis travels all the way down, and his crotch is right around here, but they're trying to fake it with a fake package and everything, because we know this is 100% female. The Q angle is below the crotch, because Pitbull with Jimmy Fallon are both females. We'll show you more of Jimmy Fallon in a couple of pictures. And here is Pitbull again. You can see the hourglass figure all the way down. Hourglass figure spreading from underneath the elbows, because Pitbull is 100% female and not a man in any way. Let's go to another picture, and here Pitbull, you can see, has an arch in the back, and Pitbull here with Lala Anthony. It seems like everywhere Lala, this is one thing we've noticed, everywhere Lala Anthony goes, there's deception following her all around, because she's one of those high degree stooges of the Vatican, probably a priest or a priestess, or very high degree temple prostitute, because this is what these people really are. All the celebrities around the world. This is one thing I want you guys to understand, that every celebrity in this world is either a priest, a priestess, or a temple prostitute, male or female, mutilated or not, does not matter. And that's what we think Lala Anthony is. That's why everywhere she goes, she's always with a deception or covering up for a deception, because that's what she's been trained since childhood to be. With Pitbull here having an arch in her back and the long butt of a female all the way down, because Pitbull is 100% female and not a man in any way. Let's go to another picture of Pitbull. Was that the last picture? Oh, we have a couple more. Let's go down here. Where did we stop? Oh, we stopped there. Let's go to the next slide. I think we already showed you this one. Let's go to the next one. Here is Pitbull with Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Fallon Night Live. We want you to notice the long pelvis of a female right here. Long, because they're both females, because Pitbull is 100% female. Let's go to another picture of Pitbull. Here's Pitbull again. You can still see the cute Q angle here is below the crotch, not above it, below it. Let me see if I can blow this up so you guys can see. Below the crotch, because Pitbull is 100% female. You can see the hourglass figure and the curvy pelvis right here. Curvy hips all the way down, pelvis and Q angle and hips below the crotch, because Pitbull is 100% female. Let's go next slide. I already showed you this one. Did we show you? We still want to show you how the way Pitbull is trying to hide the hips by putting his feet farther apart, but you can still notice the hourglass figure is still falling and he's spreading from underneath the elbows, and the hand clasp is way too high up, because that's not how a man claps his hand. It's going to be farther downwards towards below his crotch if you're male, and farther up if you're female, because Pitbull is 100% female and not a man. Here's Pitbull again with the cute Q angle still showing here below the crotch, because Pitbull is 100% female. Let's blow this up. Cute Q angle below the crotch, 100% female. Pitbull. Let's go to another picture. And here's the picture that the first one we tried to show you, but this one clearly shows the hip, so you can see how long the female pelvis is right here. The navel would be around here, and see how long the lapel of this pant is all the way down, because Pitbull is 100% female, curving like a female and dancing like one, because she is one, not a man. Let's go another picture of Pitbull, still showing the curves of the hips and the cute Q angle below the crotch, because Pitbull is 100% female. Let's go to another picture. Here's Pitbull again, still dancing like a female, and bending from below the crotch. The cute Q angle is below the crotch, because Pitbull is 100% female. Let's go to another picture of Pitbull, and this is it. You can see clear as night and day the hips of a female spreading from underneath the elbows all the way, and the cute Q angle below the crotch. Let's blow this up. This one deserves for you to see it a little bit close up, so you can see that it's below the crotch, because Pitbull is 100% female. Let's go to another picture, and still bending like a female should. As you can see right here, it's below the crotch. Cute Q angle bending below the crotch. Blow this up, below the crotch, because Pitbull is 100% female. Let's go to another picture of Pitbull, still doing the same thing again here. It's below the crotch, below it, below the crotch, 100% female. Another picture, we still show you this long butt so you can see it clear again. Long butt of a female all day, because Pitbull is 100% female. Another picture of Pitbull, and here's Pitbull with a Taylor Swift, and you can see that their butts are both shaped the same way. See the long butt of a female for a Taylor Swift all the way down here below the crotch, tilted pelvis forward, and the pants of Pitbull is trying to hide that pelvic tilt from the front. All right, because it's specially sewn, but you can see that the cute Q angle is below the crotch as it shows here. See this small jagged edge below the crotch, and the long butt of a female just like that of Taylor Swift, because they're both females right here. All right, let's go another picture. Still the same thing, the cute Q angle bending the same way, just like Taylor Swift is bending, because you can see Taylor Swift is bending from below the crotch, because that's where her hips are, and the cute Q angle, and that is what Pitbull is doing also, bending below the crotch and the cute Q angle and the long pelvis of a female, because they are both females, Pitbull and Taylor Swift. Let's go another picture of Pitbull, still the same. We already showed you that, still the same picture. I think that's the end of the picture for Pitbull, so let's switch over to Jimmy Fallon and round up this video. Here's a picture of Jimmy Fallon. As you can see right here, Jimmy Fallon has an acute Q angle that's below the crotch, because Jimmy Fallon is 100% female, and just like Pitbull, has the long pelvic region of a female, and specially sewn pants to hide that long pelvis. But you can still tell right here that Jimmy Fallon is 100% female, because a lot of people have always been noticing, why is Jimmy Fallon looking so weird for a male? Because it was never male, it's a female. All right, let's go to another picture of Jimmy Fallon. Here's Jimmy Fallon working with his so-called wife or so, and this is, you can notice the cuteness of this Q angle, and that Jimmy Fallon is walking like Pitbull in a catwalk manner, right, leaning the weight of the body into the leg that's in front, because that's what a female does because of the wider pubic arch, and the female's legs need to do one thing, which is do two things rather, which is move forwards and inwards at the same time to balance the weight of the body, and this is what Miss Jimmy Fallon is doing. Okay, let's go to another picture of Jimmy Fallon, and you can notice how Jimmy Fallon bends. He bends from high above the navel, because this is where Jimmy Fallon's waist is at. You can see how she bends, because bends like a female, with that long hourglass figure that females usually have, because Jimmy Fallon is 100% female. Always been acting like a female, and a lot of people thought, oh, it's a gay male, that Jimmy Fallon could be gay. No, it's actually female. This is how the Vatican deceives us day in and night, because a lot of the constructed homosexuality that we see on TV are actually not real homosexuals. There are two heterosexual couples, all right. One's acting like one's actually mutilated and the other's not, and they say that is some sort of homosexuality. But that's all. That's why you see a lot of people in Hollywood act weird, because there are actually mutilated males or females acting like their gender. Does it make sense? Okay, so let's go. Here is another picture of Jimmy Fallon. As you can notice, the cute Q angle is below the crotch here, because Jimmy Fallon is 100% female. 100% female and not a man in any way. Jimmy Fallon, 100% female. Here's Jimmy Fallon again. You can see has an arch in the back, and is trying to find the male waist, which doesn't exist on his body, because Jimmy Fallon is 100% female and acting like one. That's why she's always acting so feminine, because it is a female. All right, arch in the back, arch in the back, hourglass figure, because Jimmy Fallon is 100% female. Let's go. Here's Jimmy Fallon again, still trying to find that male waist, but it doesn't exist, because a man doesn't put his hands on his waist like this, because Jimmy Fallon is 100% female. All right. All right, let's go to another picture of Jimmy Fallon. Here's Jimmy Fallon with another female in Miley Cyrus, but Jimmy Fallon's acute Q angle is below the crotch, because Jimmy Fallon is 100% female. And you can see that where the Q angle and the hips ends inside the palms of Jimmy Fallon, because in most cases, this is how a female's arms are. The palms of the hips end inside the wrists, all right? Inside the palms of the arms, rather say, because Jimmy Fallon is 100% female. Let's go to another picture of Jimmy Fallon, and here's Jimmy Fallon with his so-called wife, and see how comfortable the arm goes around right there, because that is where Jimmy Fallon's waist is at. It's comfortable right around there. You can see how the hand clasp is, and how this goes inside, showing you that hourglass figure, because Jimmy Fallon is 100% female, not a man in any way. Let's go to another picture of Jimmy Fallon. We already showed you this picture with Pitbull here, and this acute Q angle of Jimmy Fallon is below the crotch. Let's blow this up so you guys can see this clearly. See that? It's below the crotch, not above it. Below the crotch, because Jimmy Fallon is 100% female and acting like one, pretending that it's male when it's not. Here's the picture that made us take a very good look at Jimmy Fallon. This was at the Brazil World Cup, and you can notice how wide Jimmy Fallon's hips are from his navel, right? From below the navel, how wide it is, and this acute Q angle is below the crotch. And this is specially sewn pants to hide this acuteness of this Q angle and make you feel like it's a short, lapel or length of the crotch for a male, when it's not, because this is 100% female. The acute Q angle and the spreading of the hips is below the crotch and standing like a female, because these are two females. Jimmy Fallon, 100% female. Let's go to another picture of Jimmy Fallon here. We already showed you this one with Pitbull. Here's Jimmy Fallon, and you can see how high the navel is set in the body. And the one thing I didn't notice about Jimmy Fallon on this particular picture is like, the Vatican is always good at making you understand this is one of their own. For example, when Jimmy Fallon here, it seems like to be taking a tattoo, The picture shows an inverted cross. Inverted cross here meaning that this person is not male. That's why the cross is inverted. And then you can see all these butterflies, in which a lot of people believe to be monarch programming, that you can snap your fingers. They believe in all that nonsense, that you can snap your fingers and somebody acts in a certain way or manner. It doesn't exist. The monarch programming or the butterflies here just show you that this person has been trained from childhood to be that way. It doesn't mean that you can snap your fingers at anybody and mind control somebody. You can't mind control somebody except you've trained them from childhood to be under mind control. You can't snap your fingers at an adult and make it act in a certain way or not, except the person is induced under some sort of drugs or some sort of demonic influence. That's the only way you can control a human being. But this is just trying to show you specifically that Jimmy Fallon is one of their own. That's why all this is around him, or around her rather, and this high navel sets way so high into the torso of the body. It should be closer to the belt if this was male, but it's female, so that's why it's further up here, because Jimmy Fallon is 100% female. Let's go. Jimmy Fallon again, having the long butt of a female. You can see this is where the butt area starts all the way down and ends right here, because Jimmy Fallon is 100% female and acting like one, because she is one. Pity the poor child, but it is what it is. Let's go to the next picture. Jimmy Fallon again with this cute Q angle and standing like a female, because Jimmy Fallon is 100% female and not a man in any way. Let's go to another picture. Did I move too fast? Okay, here's Jimmy Fallon again. This cute Q angle is below the crotch, and they even present Jimmy Fallon. This pictures of Jimmy Fallon was on GQ magazine, so a lot of people would pick up GQ and say they're looking at all their celebrity males. They're looking at mutilated females in most cases. In some cases, let me say that. So let me say it right. So let's go to the next picture. And here's Jimmy Fallon again, standing like a woman does, because she is a woman with the long butt of a female all the way down, ending here, because Jimmy Fallon is female. That's why she's always acting so effeminate. A lot of people, you have to understand, the way females act in their genetics. They're not just acting that way because they just want to act that way. Their bones, which means genetics, is what's making them act that way. And that's why Jimmy Fallon acts this way, because she's 100% female, long butt all the way down. Jimmy Fallon again. So I want you to notice the difference between a man and a woman in this picture. See how Jimmy Fallon starts curving above the navel and so high up into the torso of the body, and see how straight the back of Justin Timberlake is here. Straight all the way down. There is no arch. See how long the back travels, right? See how short the back travels, because this is female and this is male. So I want you guys to notice that difference, because Jimmy Fallon is 100% female. Let's go to another picture of Jimmy Fallon sitting like a female right here. See how wide the pubic arch is right here when she sits, because Jimmy Fallon is female. See that? Wide. This construction going on here is not a male genitalia. That looks like the labia of a female, but you can notice, even though the picture is a little bit dark, but you can notice the length and the distance of this pubic arch right here, because it's 100% female. And see how round the thighs are, because those are the thighs of a woman. A woman designed to give childbirth, and not a male in any way. Let's go to another picture of Jimmy Fallon. Here's Jimmy Fallon again on this cover of GQ magazine. The title here says Jimmy Fallon April 2013 GQ cover special issues. So if you want to see this picture, look for, just type into your search engine Jimmy Fallon April 2013 GQ cover special edition, and you'll see that. Let me see if I can reduce this picture so you guys can see the title right there, so you can actually go look for it. It says Jimmy Fallon April 2013 GQ cover special edition, and you see this picture of Jimmy Fallon here, because Jimmy Fallon has an hourglass figure like a female does, because it is female on GQ magazine. A cute Q angle below the crotch. Hourglass figure, a cute Q angle below the crotch, because Jimmy Fallon is 100% female. Let's go to another picture of Jimmy Fallon sitting and spreading like a female, is sulking and sad. I pity her, because I know she was taken from child. This is what the Vatican does, so detestable to kids. Detestable. Let me blow this picture up. I'm having problems with my mouse right now, so pardon me for a second. So you can see right here, this acute Q angle is below the crotch, and how wide the hips are from the shoulders, because Jimmy Fallon is 100% female and sulking like one. Let's go to another picture of Jimmy Fallon. Here's Jimmy Fallon. Still, I think we're still during the time of the World Cup in Brazil, and you can still see this acute Q angle and these tight pants which she's wearing, which they made her specifically with, because the Vatican likes mocking us from time to time and showing us, look at a woman but you think it's a man, and that's what they did. So Jimmy Fallon is 100% female, cute Q angle below the crotch. Another picture of Jimmy Fallon dancing with Jennifer Lopez, and this acute Q angle of Jimmy Fallon is below the crotch, because Jimmy Fallon is 100% female, dancing in the same manner, carving the same manner as Jennifer Lopez to the left, who's also a female. Let's go to the next picture of Jimmy Fallon. Yes, you see, this is clear as night and day. Trying to find the male waist, but it doesn't exist, because males do not put your arms on their waist this way. And you can see the cute Q angle right here is below the crotch. Just notice that. Just look at how acute the angle is, right? Because it's a female. Jimmy Fallon, 100% female. Let's go to another picture. We already showed you that one. I think we've come to the end of today's video. Sorry, it was a little bit long, but regardless, we have to tell you the truth and tell you what it is, so you can understand your world and understand that the reason for all this deception is one. What you should get from this video is, number one, that we do not understand order. All right, we don't understand the order. And number two, we've allowed it because we are the people allowing the deceptions to happen. We are allowing these calamities to happen to us because we have forsook truth. So that is why all this is happening. So do not worry so much about the Vatican and the devil. Worry much more about yourself, because you are the reason for all this that's happening. So get a book. It's very, very important that you do. Treat it as a matter of life and death with all seriousness, so that you can have this information in your hands in case the Vatican shuts us down, and you can pass this on to your generations and your children's children, so they will not be deceived, because the deception is going to grow worse and worse. We want to have some sort of tangible truth before everything is taken away from us, because the Vatican is working day and night to make sure they remove any facts of reality that will show you that there was any truth in this world, and they will succeed, because we love lies and we do not accept truth. We do not go after it. We just treat it as something that we think we should just maybe it's something you just can take like your morning coffee and then forget about it. If we treated truth, right, with every minute, every second of our lives as it matters, all this deception would not be possible. We go out and buy lies. We invest in lies every day. In the music, the movies, the educational system, everything. So that's why it's happening. That's why we say get our book, and people make it look like, you know, we're talking something different. You can tell the truth when you hear and you see it. So why not invest in some truth and have some truth that you can leave over for the next generations? Because if we were all invested in truth and writing stuff down like the Bible told us to, our forefathers were writing stuff, our great forefathers were writing stuff, we would have some truth left. But they did not do so, so all that is gone. It's going every day. So that's why we put all this information in the book, so you can have some truth, something that you can look into and say, yes, this is so. So invest in, it's a wise investment to get our book. Please do so for your own souls and for the next generation that's coming up. Let them have some semblance of truth in their lives and in their world. Subscribe to the second channel, Tricks of the S32, in case this one goes down, and all information is on the screen on how to keep in contact with us until we have our website up. And with that, we leave you with these words: always look with your eyes, but see with your brain. I'll talk with you guys later.